Hi, my name is Wilson Cortez, and I'm gonna talk to you about the framework of Balance Scorecard for our organizational behavior class. First, we need to define what Balance Scorecard is. Balance Scorecard is basically a framework to help companies to plan their strategy and manage their companies. It is mostly used by any kind of companies, like industry companies, public sector companies, like government, not-profit organizations, and it looks three things. Like, one would be aligning the business activities to the vision and strategy that the company has. The second thing that it looks is improving internal and external communications, and the third would be to monitor the company's performance regarding its strategic goals. First, in order to understand what Balanced Scorecard means, we need to define strategic planning. Strategic planning, as its name says, it's a process and it's systematic. Being systematic, it means that you have to run it one and another time, anytime. And the idea is to be able to see the desired future of the company and translate the company's vision into different goals and have different indicators to understand what is happening. The three things that looks strategic planning would be providing a competitive advantage for the company. The second one would be adapting the company to changing situations, and the third one would be make the company able to measure their effectiveness. As I just said, the vision is the main point of strategic planning, and everything is directed there. So sometimes the company have problem reaching their vision because they might have a strategy, but when they try to perform, they don't have it. They don't do it well. So why does this happen? First, the strategy is formulated. So you have the strategy formulation. This is how you reach your vision. Then the strategy is executed, and then you reach your vision. But what's the problem? That many times companies have a problem reaching the strategy execution, even though the strategy is good and the formulation is good. So for that, we created, or it exists, the framework of Balance Scorecard, which what it looks is try to fill the gap between the strategy formulation and execution in order for the company to reach their corporative vision. Now, how Balance Scorecard is formed? Balance Scorecard, as I was saying, is a gestion model. Companies have it and they clarify their vision and what they need to do to reach it, and they have specific measures or key indicators to understand how they are performing. So everything is centered on the vision, and there are four dimensions. The first dimension would be the financial performance, then you have the client satisfaction dimension, then the process efficiency dimension, and lately the knowledge and innovation dimension. The idea here is enable companies to prioritize what they're gonna do using these dimensions. The financial performance talks about what the company wants. The knowledge and innovation dimension talks about how to help the company to develop the process more efficiently. The process efficiency looks precisely improve the processes in order for the clients to feel more comfortable, and well, definitely the clients are the more important there. So in each one of these dimensions, we need to understand what is happening, and for that we're going to answer one question by each dimension. That is the question that all the companies need to answer in order to understand what is happening. For the financial performance, what are the expectations for our investors? That's the first question. In here, companies usually is the starting point, and they need to understand what the shareholders want. So the idea would be align the vision of the company through the financial performance and establish a financial perspective to help this. There are different KPIs companies have here. The most common are revenues, profit, and income, but it depends on how the company wants to measure their performance. The second dimension would be client satisfaction, and the question here is how should we show ourselves to our clients? In here, the main indicators are product or service quality, time, taking care of your customers, customer satisfaction, and the client loyalty. Those are like the most measurable ones. The third dimension would be process efficiency. Here the question is, in which processes do we need to be excellent? And this dimension looks to work on how to improve the company. So there are different processes that companies run, and what they need is to make them better. So they start creating key indicators to understand how the processes are working. There are four mainly kind of processes that companies use to run, and they have indicators in there which are operational processes, the customer related processes, innovation processes, and lastly the environmental related and community related processes. Fourth dimension, which is the last one, here the question to answer would be, what are the challenges to help grow and learn our employees? And here what the company looks is to keep knowledge and to help their employees to grow. So they work with the critical processes or things that are important for the company for the employees to learn. So they work in indicators like employee skills, information systems, empowerment, and employee motivation. This is a strategic map. A strategic map is another way to organize the balance scorecard. You read it from the top. No, I'm sorry. You read it from the bottom to the top, and the idea is that you fill it from the top to the bottom. So you start first writing down your financial indicators, then how they are affected by the customer indicators, then how those customer indicators are affected by internal processes, and lastly how organizational capacity, or what we call knowledge and innovation, affects the internal processes. So this is kind of the order that companies used to follow to have the balanced scorecard. I'm gonna present here a short example about a company which we all know, which is Philips. They have used balanced scorecard in 2011 because they had some changes. They merged some of their divisions. Basically what they did was merging electronics division, domestic appliances division, and personal care divisions in consumer lifetime. So in order for them to work on that same division, they needed to align Philips Electronics division, the vision that it has, with the general, the other three divisions' vision that they have. So in order to do this, they started using or thought about using balanced scorecard because they had many employees and they wanted to have all the division of electronics aligned towards the same vision, which is the general Philips vision. To do that, they elaborated a balanced scorecard, and the mainly indicators that you can see here were the indicators that they used. The financial indicators, you can see there the cash flow, inventory turns, working capital, because those were the most important for the division aligned towards the vision of the company. They also worked on processes, which are the processes dimension that I talked to you before, customers, and lastly the knowledge and innovation. In there they started working in learning and training for their employees and the quality of improvement. So this is a really good framework to use, and as you could see, companies actually use it. That was all for now. Thank you for your time, and here are some of the sources